Hi guys! I'm finally doing my Q&A video about studying abroad and my exchange year in Hong Kong. So I'll start the video off with just general questions about studying abroad and going on exchange, then move on to questions specific to Hong Kong, and then lastly talk about my experience and what I've learned. So feel free to just fast forward to listen to what you're most interested in. So the number one most asked question was how to study abroad, how to go on exchange. These are actually two separate things. Studying abroad is simple. You just have to apply to a school or university outside the country that you live in. And then exchange is actually different because you're only doing a certain section of your schooling in a different country. I actually did both of this because I live in Austria, but I'm doing my undergraduate degree in England, and then I went for an exchange year in Hong Kong. So the way it works in England, for me, it was that I had to apply to my university in England saying that I would like to go for an exchange year. It was exactly like applying to universities again, which is kind of tedious, but then worth it in the end. So I had to have like another personal statement, I had to have good grades, like reference letters and that kind of thing. And I was able to give 3 of my preferred destinations that I wanted to go study abroad in. Not destinations, like universities. So I was lucky enough to get my number 1 preference, which was the University of Hong Kong. So yeah, that's how it worked for me. Everything kind of went through my university because the University of Hong Kong was a partner university of my university in England. So the best thing to do is just really speak to your academic advisor or speak to your international office, see what your school can offer you. I'm sure there must be something because most schools these days have a lot of partner like schools or universities and a lot of programs that you can apply to. So really it's going to differ depending on what country you're in, so just check out what your school has to offer. How to adjust to a new environment and how to make friends. I actually wrote a blog post about this for my university, which I will link below in the description if you're interested in reading in more detail how I prepared myself before going on exchange. But long story short, just go there with an open mind. Don't compare your new environment to what you're used to. Don't have any certain standards that you are expecting. You can prepare yourself by checking out other student blogs or like follow other Instagram accounts that are currently on exchange by like searching for certain hashtags. That's what I did, and I honestly got a good feel of what life must be like in Hong Kong for an exchange student. So I think that was really able to prepare me for like this new environment. And concerning making friends, I think it's really about just putting yourself out there and like go. Even if you feel shy or if you're introverted, like me, I mean, I'm definitely not an outgoing kind of person. I'm more kind of shy. You just have to put yourself out there and talk to as many people as you can because you're bound to click with someone, right? And yeah, that's how it worked for me. And in the long run, I think I've really learned out of it and I've become more confident. I mean, not like, crazy confident, but like it's boosted my confidence and I've become more sociable and more talkative, and yeah, it's really just about getting out of your comfort zone, which I think that's the whole point of studying abroad in general, because why else would you go to like a completely foreign country and just where you have like absolutely no one, or at least that was the case for me. Like, why would I go there if it's not to challenge myself, right? So it's all part of the process. Were there any language barriers, and did this impact how much you could enjoy the culture? I must say, yes, there was a language barrier. You can definitely get around with English in Hong Kong, but again, I guess it depends on how much you want to like integrate with the culture. If you go to commercial areas, then yes, people speak English, but in the more local areas, I don't know how else to describe local areas, but they did not really speak English very well. Really often where like in the area that I lived in, I had to like Google images of whatever I was looking for and be like, do you know where I can find this thing? So I definitely felt a language barrier. Hong Kong was the first time that I lived in a country where I did not speak the language. For some reason, I did not think of this before going to Hong Kong. I just thought like, oh, like, I'll be fine. But then I realized that I've never lived in a country where I don't speak the language. I've been on a 2-month exchange in Korea, and that was fine because I speak like pretty decent Korean, like okay, like intermediate, and that means I could just like go into the most local restaurants and just look at the menu and like read it and understand it and see like this please. But in Hong Kong I couldn't do that. I always had to depend on a local friend, or like if there was some local dish that I really wanted to try out, I had to go with a friend. Or I've actually gone into like restaurants and like just taken a screenshot of whatever I wanted to eat and be like yakka. So yeah, I definitely felt a language barrier, but again, yeah, if you're not really interested in like, going to really local restaurants and that kind of stuff, then you can definitely get around with just English. Were the courses taught in English, and how was the workload? The courses were taught in English. The University of Hong Kong is an international university, and I think most of the courses are taught in English from professors from all around the world. It's not just like, you know, Hong Kong professors teaching in Cantonese, no. And yeah, so I had no problem with the courses. The workload, however, was higher than what I was used to in England, but not necessarily more difficult. It was just more to do. What was the hardest part about living in Hong Kong, and did you experience any culture shock? The hardest part was definitely the amount of people that live in Hong Kong. I come from Austria, so life is pretty chill here. So I was not used to that many people, just like the big crowds, and also people, I wouldn't really say they're unfriendly, they just don't have the time to deal with you. So I don't think they're actually purposefully being rude, they just don't have time to deal with you. So I think that was the hardest part for me, especially in the beginning, because I had no friends and I was kind of a loner, so I had no one that I could go to for help, and people were just not very like approachable, or I felt kind of hesitant to approach people on the street to ask for any sort of help. I think that was the hardest part to get used to for me. Yeah. Final question, what's the hardest to leave behind? This question kind of breaks my heart, I must say. It's definitely the people. I think the people that you meet are definitely what make your experience in any country, and that's definitely what it was for me as well. I met so many amazing people in Hong Kong, and the thing is that they're not all from Hong Kong, so even if I were to go back to Hong Kong now, they wouldn't be there. So that kind of sucks. But then again, it also is really cool because that means I have more friends around the world, more places to visit, more free accommodation. So yeah, I definitely miss all the people that I met there the most. But then also things about Hong Kong. I miss Hong Kong because of all the memories that I have there, I think. I've grown to really like Hong Kong, and like I feel like all its little quirky things have become really dear to me. So I miss all these random small things about it, and yeah, it's just really hard to let go because it's like memories that you can never really go back to again. But yeah, so that's it for the questions. I mean, I guess everyone's experience is different, but I've written about what I gained, what I feel like I've gained through a year abroad, another blog post that I wrote for my university, so I'll link that below if you're interested in reading about it. I just feel like going abroad to study at this age has so many advantages that people aren't really aware of and that people don't give enough credit for. Because like, you know, sometimes it's not really about the qualifications that you bring, it's more about like your experiences and what you've learned and how you are as a person, as a character. And seriously, it sounds so cheesy, but I've learned and grown so much through this year. I don't know how I can just quickly summarize it in the last few minutes. I was like so dependent on myself, and this was something that I wasn't really aware of before. Like I didn't know how to deal with things when I only have myself to depend on. But Hong Kong has really taught me to be comfortable on my own, and I feel like I can depend on my own and I can be responsible for myself. And that is a trait that, you know, you're not going to get taught in school. It's only something that you can learn through experiences. And everyone's exchange, you know, experience is going to be different, and I'm not saying that you have to go on exchange in order to gain these kind of traits or learn these things. I'm just saying this is how it worked for me. Cultural exposure is just so important, I think, especially now with all the ignorance that seems to be existing in the world. I think a lot of it could be avoided if people were just more aware of different cultures and worldviews and backgrounds. So yeah, it's going to be scary, it's going to be challenging and tough, but in the long run, more than anything else, it's going to be worth it. I promise you that. So let me know if you guys are thinking of going, if you're gonna go, what your plans are. I hope this video was helpful in either way. And yeah, if you have any more questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll reply as well. Stay tuned for more videos, and yep, hope you guys are all well. Bye!